Alright guys, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about a transfer switch. Stay tuned. Alright, I just wanted to give you a diagram of how the transfer switch works with your main circuit breaker panel. This is a crude drawing, so I apologize for it, but I hope it will give you an idea of how this works. So we have a transfer switch over here, our main panel. My particular transfer switch, I have 4 circuits that I can choose. Now I'm just illustrating one circuit. So over here on our main panel, we're just going to use this breaker here as an example. And you get a black, a red, a green, and this is a white wire, but obviously that's not going to show up on a whiteboard, so I used yellow to represent the common. So on the transfer switch, you only are going to have a green, 1 ground, 1 common. And those will come over out of the transfer switch and into your neutral bar. Your transfer switch is not considered a sub panel, so you do not need an isolated ground for it. You can use the common in your main panel. So you're basically taking your green and your white wire, bringing them over and tying them into the neutral bar. That's all you have to do. Now obviously you choose the 4 circuits that you want to use, and then those other 2 wires, there will be a red and a black for each one of the circuits that you're going to use. So here in our example, we're going to bring our black wire over into our panel, and this wire that goes to the house is usually tied into your circuit breaker. So you're going to unhook it and take the red wire and hook it into your circuit breaker. Then you take the black and you tie it into the black wire that was in the circuit breaker originally. Does that make sense? So we're tying that's going to go out to your circuit, and now your hot wire is now your red wire, and your transfer switch will determine whether you're going to get generator power or line power based off that wire right there. You don't have to worry about anything inside here. That's all done when you get your transfer switch. You don't have to wire the transfer switch. The only wires are going to be what's coming out that you have to worry about wiring. And that's your black, your red, your green, and again, this yellow wire, which is your white wire, your common. So when you switch to generator, this is going to feed and go through, and it's going to come off your generator. If you go to line, it's going to bring power into the panel from the main. And you can take your generator, any one of them. It doesn't have to be a solar generator. It can be a gas generator. And that's going to plug in here, and that's your power source for the generator side of the transfer switch. So you can hook any generator to this, whether it be gas, whether it be solar, whatever, as long as you're not putting a 300 watt portable generator on there, but something that can handle the circuits that you're putting on. Most of these are 15 amp circuits that I chose, except for you can change out these first 2 and make them 20 amps, and that's what I've done. I have 2 20 amps, 2 15 amps, because I'm running refrigerators and freezers off these 2 breakers, and then lights and televisions off the other 2. So I hope that makes sense to you. It's not as hard as it seems, and all you're doing is diverting power. Instead of being from the grid, you're getting it from the generator when you change the switch from line to generator. Now if you do put it in that off position, it will cut power off to those 4 circuits, whether it's just off. But you either have to be in the generator or line position to get power. And I hope that makes sense to you. It's just a simple diagram, but it's really not complicated, and all you're doing is changing where you're getting power. The nice thing about the transfer switch is it's just a switch. You decide if you want to use your solar or gas, or if you want to use the grid. Alright, here's my manual transfer switch. Has a lid or a cover that comes down. We flip it up, and Here are the 4 circuits that I've chosen. I've got them labeled A, B, C, D, as they're labeled A, B, C, D here. And this is your controls right here. You can see you got generator position, an off position, and a line position. Okay? When these are in the off position, you got no power from your panel or from the generator. It's just off. Okay? When you're in the line position, like right now, I have this one down. That is running off the grid. These 3 are running off my AC200P right now. This first one is a kitchen fridge and an outlet. This one here is my freezers that are in this pantry, because this is all the outlets to this pantry. My C runs my microwave, my front porch lights, ceiling lights in bedrooms, hall, furnace, and in the kitchen. So I've got several lights on this circuit. The thing with the transfer switch, if you're looking at emergency power, you want to pick circuits that are vital, that you want to keep running. That's why I have refrigerators on there. Now I have a heat pump. I cannot put my furnace on this transfer switch and run it off solar. I've got something else that I'm going to do for that, which I'll show you later. But anyway, don't want to get off track here. But the transfer switch is very simple. Generator position, you're running off of your solar or gas generators. Line position, you're running off of the grid. This right here is where you bring your power in to the transfer switch. This is plugged into my AC outlet of my AC200P, and it's bringing power right here, so it's supplying power to this panel. I mean, it's pretty much as simple as that. You can get bigger transfer switches that cover 6 circuits, covers 10 circuits. I went with this one. I wish I would have went with a 10 circuit transfer switch, because you can still choose what you want to run and what you don't want to run in an emergency situation just by leaving that switch off for that circuit. The other thing too, for those that want to just run off of solar, you can do that the way this is set up. Like right now, I've got a good sunny day. I've got solar panels on the roof. They're wired in right here. And I'm running all my refrigerators and freezers off of solar right now. They're not going to the grid. And then if it gets dark and I want to switch back, I just pull that down. Now I'm back on the grid. That's all I had to do. I want to go back on solar power, I just flip it up to generator. So, I mean, it's that simple. And if you're, like I say, wanting to use solar generators, say you have now I don't recommend hooking a 300 watt solar generator up to a transfer switch to run refrigerators and freezers, but it's not that you can't do that. And I'll give you an example here. Is you can take these to line. So I've got my refrigerators and freezers running off of the grid now, but I want to run my lights off of a small generator. So there I'm running one of my circuits off of the Jackery Explorer 300, pulling 83 watts, and there's about 4 or 5 lights on. Obviously you could reduce the output by turning a few lights off, but this is something, like I say, you wouldn't want to do off a transfer switch this small of a power station unless you are monitoring and everybody knows what's going on. Because on this particular circuit, I also have a microwave. If that microwave comes on, it'll overload the Jackery. It will not run your microwave. But that's why I don't really recommend using them. But you can do it if you're at home and monitoring. Okay, just be it known it's the middle of February, and I have 800 watts of rich solar panels, 400 watts of eco-worthy solar panels on the roof. This one is the rich, this is the eco-worthy. So right now it's around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm getting 430 roughly, 191, so a total of 600 and some watts using my DC charge enhancer. I'm running 3 circuits off the transfer switch, which are pulling 168 watts. Also have a light plugged in here for filming. And those that might be worried about, well, you put solar panels on the roof, I can't charge by solar. Well, right now, as you can see on my DC load, I'm pulling 160 watts. I'm charging my Echo River Pro through the cigarette lighter port, pulling 87 watts. I am charging my Sateki via the power delivery port of the USB-C port. So I'm using solar to charge other power stations, running my transfer switch, and I'm still pulling more off solar than I'm using. So during the day I can run like this until I start to see a decline in my watts. Then I just switch back over to the line, and that's that. And you can see the solar just kicked off because it took it back up to 100%. And during the day, when you're getting that kind of solar, it's never going to get below 99, 98%. So if you're worried about being able to use solar when you put it on the roof, if you have it wired into your house, you can actually use another power station to be the receptacle for that solar and pass it out of that. And I know maybe it's not as efficient if you have it directly hooked up to solar, but nonetheless, guess what? You're still using solar. And I don't have to worry about shifting panels or whatever. I just plug my power station into my AC200P to charge it. Now right now I'm charging off the cigarette lighter port for the Echo River Pro. But the AC200P is big enough that if I wanted to charge this thing faster, I could, and I'll show you. We watch the DC watts go down here in a second, because I'm going to unhook the Eco River Pro. It's not charging via DC anymore, but I want to charge it through the AC receptacle and get that 600 watts that it's capable of. And now you're starting to see it. Now I'm charging from the electrical port on the Echo River Pro from the AC200P, and it's still climbing. So if I wanted to do this, the Echo River Pro will charge in roughly an hour and a half to 80%. So you can use your watts. Now you watch, this solar will start to kick on again. Now I'm going to be pulling more than I'm bringing in, but if I wanted to do this early in the day and charge it fast, I could. And that's a choice, for you, if you want to charge fast or not. For me, I like charging it slow over the course of the day, and it's ready to go in the evening if I need it. But that's just to show you that you can use the AC port. And guess what? This Eco River Pro only takes in 200 watts of solar. Well, now I'm getting 600 watts of solar from my AC200P through the AC outlet. Make sense? Like I say, it's just another way you can use it. Is it the best way? Well, that's up to you. It depends on how fast you want to charge it. You can see I'm pulling well over almost 1100 watts, bringing in over 600. So it's going to go down a little bit. For me, I choose to charge via the cigarette port on the Echo River Pro. But again, if you wanted to hit it fast, you could. Now we're starting to decline. It's going to do that cycling because we're just over 92% on the Echo River Pro. So I'm going to unplug it. You'll see those watts go down. And now I'm going to plug my cigarette lighter port back up and charge it slowly. But I'm still getting right at 100 watts. You'll see the DC start to climb. And we must have just went behind a cloud because our solar watts went down. But again, these are things you can do while you're monitoring your system. So you know what you have coming in, you know what you have going out. And here's another thing about the transfer switch. You can see I'm hitting about 299. My solars went down. I don't want to drain my battery, so I'm going to turn off the fridge and the two freezers. So now I lowered my output. Still had a big DC draw because I'm charging two power stations. But when that sun comes back out, those watts will go back up. I hope that makes sense to you. Let me know if you have any questions. Because it's just as simple as flicking a switch with the transfer switch. You can still use all your solar. You can pick the circuits that you want to run. And then all you have to do is set that power station, where your transfer switch is, plug it in, and you want to hook solar to it, hook solar to it. The way I've done it is I've got solar mounted on my roof, so my solar's all right here in this room. Now I have other panels that if I do want to take a solar panel out and throw it in the yard, I can do that. I've got a portable panel, I got a couple rigid panels. So I have that flexibility of putting some solar out in the yard too if I want to, just to charge a power station and not have to come in here. But for me, it just is easy to charge these things right from this AC200P using solar. And unfortunately, we've lost some watts. As you can see, they went down. Sun's behind a cloud, but it will come back up. Alright guys, tell me what you think. Just went through all the transfer switch. I hope that was helpful to you, and I hope it wasn't too hard to understand, or that I even explained it well. But I just wanted to try to convey to you that if you have a bigger portable power station, like for me, I have the AC200P. That is my main hub. Okay, all my solar's coming into that I have on the roof. That is going to control those 4 circuits on the transfer switch for emergency backup power, or just on the occasion that I want to run and watch TV off of solar. If I want to just run a refrigerator off of solar that day, I can do that with the AC200P. But what it also allows me to do is, instead of having multiple solar panel configurations, I can basically take any power station that I have and plug it into this AC200P and charge my other power stations from solar through the AC200P. I'm transferring power, yes, but it is all coming from solar. So EB150, EcoFlow River Pro, EB70, I got AC30, Sateki. I can charge all those on my AC200P with solar, and usually when I'm doing that, I'll do it during the day when I'm getting solar. Okay, I don't, use it to charge those power stations when I'm not getting solar. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, I do have other panels. You've seen I have the SP200, which is a portable panel. I have a New Power solar panel, 100 watt panel. I have two other 100 watt panels that I'm going to be reviewing in a video coming up that I'm going to show you. And I also have another portable panel from Van Powers. So I'm going to, show that solar panel as well. But I do have the ability to charge power stations directly from solar individually, even though I have 1200 watts of solar up on the roof. But the beauty of my system for me, and like I say, this is the way I want it now. Could I get more solar if I was able to track the sun or increase the angle? In the wintertime here, my panels on the roof are a little flatter. If I could get a better angle, I could get more solar, but I don't want to have to worry about that with my main solar power, because as you saw, I'm getting, middle of February, I was getting over 600 watts of solar. I'm okay with that. In the summertime, I'm probably going to be pushing a lot more than that, and we'll see when the angle of the sun changes, and where my panels are a little bit flatter on the roof, they'll take in more sun during the summertime. But I'm getting off track. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below. Like and subscribe to the channel because it helps me grow. I want to keep making videos like this and want to keep growing the channel. So like and subscribe to the channel. And again, leave those comments down below. And any questions that you have on the transfer switch or anything that we went over in this video or any of the other videos, leave a comment or a question down below. And thank you for your time. Thanks for watching, and have a blessed day.